Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a collab that I am participating in with Kelly over at Freedom in a Budget, as well as a bunch of other channels, and I'm gonna leave all of their channel links down below. So this video is advice for newlyweds, and as far as like combining finances. And so I have 3 tips that I want to share with you guys that I feel is helpful to not only newlyweds but people that might just be starting the Dave Ramsey program and they're maybe talking about money for the first time. It's kind of the same principles and like process as far as like combining finances, talking about money. And so I feel like these tips will be helpful to anybody that's, again, just now starting to talk about money for the first time. So my first tip is that you need to be willing to adjust to the other person and their ideas when it comes to the budget and personal financial goals and things like that. I realized that when Matt and I first started really talking about money, because we had been married for a few years and we weren't really doing the money thing right. Obviously, we were carrying debt. Whenever we would get our paychecks, we would just kind of pay our bills, and whatever was left over, we would just spend and consume. And whenever I discovered Dave Ramsey, that's when I really started to realize the importance of him and I both every single month sitting down and doing the budget together. But once he came into the budget and he started to kind of give me his opinion about it, it was kind of challenging for me to relinquish some of those, responsibilities and kind of control, I guess. And so I had to learn to be flexible and realize that he is his own person. He has his own opinions about how we should do our finances every month, and kind of more along the lines of the budget, kind of what we should budget for certain categories. And I had to be willing to be flexible just because I did not want the money conversations to turn negative, which could happen very quickly. They always say money fights are like the #1 fights, amongst married couples. And so it was really important to me to keep the money conversations positive, because if they start to turn negative and just every single time you guys sit down, you start fighting about money, you kind of set the tone. So like, in the future, if you're like, hey honey, let's talk about a budget, it immediately is like, oh, you kind of dread it going into it, because you're like, I know we're gonna get into a fight, but you don't want to do that. So try to keep the conversations positive. Try to have a flexible attitude towards your spouse. Try to meet in the middle. If your spouse is suggesting something with a budget that you're not, super comfortable with, or you want to do something else, just try to have a positive way of suggesting kind of what you want. Just try to keep the conversation positive and try to be flexible. So the second tip is to work towards and maintain a debt-free lifestyle. I honestly believe that this is the best thing that's ever happened to our financial lives, is becoming debt-free and staying debt-free. Dave Ramsey says your greatest wealth building tool is your income. So if you free up your income, it gives you guys the ability to take that money into other things, whether it be, put money towards retirement or save for a house. One spouse can, quit their job and become a stay-at-home parent. It just opens up your life and your ability to do things if you have more money every single month. And my last tip is kind of directed more for couples who, decide to wait a few years to have children. A lot of times you see couples that are like, oh, we're gonna have kids in 5 years or whatever. But if that's your choice, use those years to really get ahead and hustle when it comes to your finances. I've seen a lot of couples actually who decided those early years that they were really going to hustle and save up a lot of money, whether it be for their retirement or for a home. There's one couple in particular that I'm thinking of that the first 7 years paid off their mortgage before they decided to have children. And so when it was time for them to have children, they had a debt-free house. And I just thought that that was so great. I really, really, really wish I would have known about Dave Ramsey in the early years, because that's absolutely what we would have done. We would have stayed in our first house. We would have lived minimalistic and in a smaller place, and we would have really hustled and saved our money and not wasted it the way we did. So that's definitely something I would encourage anybody who's watching this video to do. Again, if you're waiting to have kids, just use those years to, of course, enjoy your marriage. If you want to travel and do little things like that, that's totally fine. But just try to be as intentional as you possibly can about getting ahead, especially if you're wanting to have a family later on and say one spouse is wanting to stay at home. It definitely makes life a little bit easier when you decide to have children later on to be ahead when it comes to your finances. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, please go check out all the other channels that are doing this collab. I'm gonna list them down below. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.